Hey you guys, welcome to Monday's class. I am in full-on vacation mode, so I'm basically wearing an upgrade from pajamas, and it's wonderful. Excuse the wardrobe, I'm sorry. So the topic for this lecture is choosing good sources. But before we get to that, there's a couple of things that I want to go through. The first is that I realized we missed some of our stuff on Wednesday. So I'm going to send you the link to the plagiarism SNL skit. It's very funny. It's very short. Watch it. You'll get a kick. And I'm going to send you the summarizing and paraphrasing link as well. And just take and read that before we're back together next week. No due date on that, just we'll read it, get through it before we're back together as a whole class, and we will discuss it in class. Dates to pay attention to. The homework for this class is going to be going through the Haggerty help documents. There's another video about that as well. The brainstorming your subtopics, which I gave you the handout on already, is due on the 17th. You're going to be reading and summarizing and paraphrasing. That's that article I just told you about. And then a reminder, your second revision is due on the 24th. We'll get back to all of this stuff, but first I want to kind of talk a little bit about what the topic is today. So choosing a source that's going to work for an academic essay. Pretty much anyone can write anything, so you need to be really careful when you're choosing your sources so you know that you have one that's going to really help your paper and not something that is just some made-up article or an article that was written by someone that wasn't qualified to write it. I have a degree, my degree is in English, so I could write an article on heart surgery or performing heart surgery, but it's not going to mean anything. It's not, there's a train going by and the whole building is shaking, so I don't know, it looks like the camera's shaking as well. If I were to write an article about performing heart surgery, it really wouldn't mean anything. You surely wouldn't want your doctor to read that article and perform the heart surgery based on what I wrote because I'm not an authority on it. So essentially what I say is not going to be, it doesn't hold any weight because I do not have the credentials to back it up. So when you're looking for articles, you want to make sure that the person that's writing the article has some sort of authority. They are an expert on the topic, and that works for anything. If they're writing about parenting, you want to make sure that either A, they are a parent themselves, or B, they have some sort of academic or experience behind what they're saying in order to make them an expert. There's different things you can look at, the expert status, why that author knows or claims to know what they're writing. And what is their authority? Do they have a degree in what they're writing about? Is it their job? Is it their life experience? What about that author makes what they're saying valid? And another thing is, how current is the article? When you're doing your research, you want to look at dates, because if I were to write something about telecommunications, except I wrote it in 1989, that's not going to have any of this stuff in there. So you want to make sure that you're checking those dates when you're looking at your research and that they're up to date with what's currently going on. Typically within 5 years is a good, depending on what you're looking at, depending on your topic. If it's technology, that's probably like 6 months. I'm kidding, but different things change very quickly. So you're going to hear a lot about peer-reviewed essays, peer-reviewed journals, scholarly sources, academic journals. What does all that mean? So an academic journal or a scholarly journal is a collection of resources that have been published, but they've also been peer-reviewed. So what peer-reviewed means is that if we'll go back to the heart surgery. So if someone has an article that is in an academic or a scholarly journal that is dedicated to cardiovascular health, that means that that article that that person has written has been vetted. It has been read not just by some random publisher, but by doctors, by nurses, by people that are in the actual cardiovascular area of study. They're reading that journal and they're saying, yes, this information is correct, and yes, it is worthy of being published. So by the fact that anything is in an academic journal or a scholarly journal means that it has all those credentials that we were talking about earlier. We talked before about Google Scholar, and that is still a vital thing. It's a good way to look up sources, but you need to, or look up research, but you need to take all those other things into account. Who's writing it? Why are they writing it? Has it been peer reviewed? Where was it published? How was it published? All of those things are really important. You want to make sure that the resources that you have chosen are actually good resources. If you want something to prove what you're saying is true, then you want to make sure that the research you're using, the quotes that you're using, are coming from a valuable source and not just something that someone wrote. Wikipedia is a fine place to start, but don't use it in your papers. Pretty much anyone can go on and edit Wikipedia or put information in there. I know it's a helpful place to start, though. Other professors will tell you not even to look at it, but if you're comfortable with the format of Wikipedia, it can give you other things to think about. It can give you dates, it can give you other names that you might want to look up, things like that. But do not use it as a source for this paper or really for any of your college papers. It's more of a tool than anything else. I think that's it. When you go into the library, they are going to show you different ways to look up those scholarly journals. So that's going to be all stuff that she's going to go through in the Primo databases. Mount Mary has access to the majority of the academic journals that are out there. And then you'll be able to kind of search through those and see what you can come up with. I'm going to take a quick break here and I'm going to pull out a journal article so I can kind of show you a little bit of what's in it. So I'll be right back.